intensify inspections and impose more substantial penalties. The intensity of IPO supervision is expected to increase. The news that the first IPO was heavily fined for fraudulent issuance after the order was withdrawn has aroused great concern in the market. At the beginning of this new year, at a symposium held by the China Securities Regulatory Commission, some participants suggested stricter controls on IPO access. Does this mean that IPO supervision will be stricter in the future? At a symposium. Symposium, a meeting at which experts have discussions about a particular subject, a small conference. So it is not so accurate, but it's okay to describe the meetings. Some participants suggest stricter controls on IPO access. Does this mean that IPO supervision will be stricter in the future? It is definitely yes. Many interviewers told China Business News that IPO supervision will be stricter in the future. On one hand, on-site inspection coverage may be wider and the intensity of inspections will be greater. On the other hand, penalties will be more stringent compared with the previous warnings letters issued. There may be fewer substantial risks in the future. There will be more there will be more penalties. There will be more real penalties. Many interviewers told China Business News that IPO supervision will be stricter in the future. On the one hand, on-site inspection coverage may be wider. And the intensity of inspections will be greater. On the other hand, penalties will be more stringent compared with the previous warning letters issued. There may be fewer substantial risks in the future. The reporter learned that the follow-up is likely to further increase the intensity of supervision and inspection if companies plan to be listed. and vigorously crack down the financial fraud, which will form a more powerful deterrent to those who jump in while sick and force issuers to improve the quality of their declarations and intermediaries to improve their professional standards. The reporter learned that the follow-up is likely to further increase the follow-up was heavily fined for fraud is issuers after the order was withdrawn has roused greater concern in the market. The news is a heavy pound bomb. The reporter learned that the follow-up is likely to further increase intensive supervision and inspection of companies planning to be listed. Next step. Intensive supervision and inspection of companies. Increase the intensity of supervision and inspection of companies planning to be listed. The reporter learned that the follow-up is likely to further increase the intensity of supervision and inspection of companies planning to be listed. And vigorously crack down financial fraud, which will form a more powerful deterrent to those who jump in while sick and force issuers to improve the quality of their declarations and intermediaries to improve their professional standards. Iber was heavily fined for fraudulent issuance. Fraudulent. Fraudulent. Fraud. Fraudulent. Symposium held by the China security regulations. Reporter learned that the follow-up is likely to further increase the intensity of supervision and inspection of companies planning to be listed. Symposium withdrawal has aroused issue issuance. Issuance. Learn that the follow-up is likely to planning to be listed and vigorously crack down on the on financial fraud. Vigorous, vigorous, vigorously. Likely to further increase the intensity of inspection of companies planning to be listed and vigorously crack down on financial fraud. Crack down. Stricter. They become stricter in punishing the financial fraud. Which will form a more powerful deterrent to those who jump in while sick. One has want to be listed to get arrested and sick. And force issuers to improve the quality of the declaration and intermediaries to improve their professional standards. Financial fraud. Financial fraud is a really huge problem in China stock market. Financial fraud, which will form a more powerful deterrent to those who jump in while sick, and force issuers to improve the quality of their declarations, and intermediaries to improve the professional standards. The follow-up is likely to further increase the intensity of supervision actions of companies planning to be listed and vigorously crack down, vigorously crack down on financial fraud, which will form a more powerful deterrent to those who jump in while sick. Want to break through in sick, break through to the market, to be listed while sick, while thick, and force issuers to improve the quality of their declarations, and intermediaries to improve their professional standards, their declarations. Declaration. Deterrent to those who jump improve the quality of the declarations. Issuers, issuer, and intermediaries to improve professional standards. Intermediary, intermediary, media, media, intermediary, intermediary. The security market is main intermediaries in Chinese. Security companies or security enterprises are the main subjects in the declarations to be listed. In terms of supporting systems, Dean of the Institute of Financial Development and NK University believe it is necessary to further improve the delisting system, investor protection system, and other related systems to provide more powerful institutional guarantees for the healthy development of the market. He's a dean of the Institute of Financial Development at NK University. It is necessary to further improve the delisting system, investor protection system, and other related systems to provide more powerful institutional guarantees for the healthy development of the market. Institutional guarantees for the healthy development. Industry IPO supervision will be stricter. On February 9th, the last working day of the year of the rabbit, the China Securities Regulatory Commission issued an announcement stating that Shanghai Social Technology Limited Corporation, original name Social Social Technology Administrative penalties will be imposed for illegal issuances of fraudulent issuances during the application for initial listing on the Science and Technology Innovation Board. Sourcing and the relevant responsible persons were fined and confiscated a total of 16.5 million. Administrative penalties will be imposed for illegal issuances of fraudulent issuances during the application for initial listing on the Science and Technology Innovation Board. Original name. Original name. Administrative penalties. Hereinafter referred as social. Referred to. Hearing. Hereinafter. Hereafter. Okay, hereafter. Hereafter. Hereinafter referred to as sourcing. Issuances of fraudulent issuances. Penalties will be imposed for illegal issuances of fraud issuances of fraudulent issuances. During the application for initial listing on the Science and Technology Innovation Board. This case is first a fraudulent issuance case invested by the China Securities Regulatory Commission since the implementation of the new securities law. After the issuer submitted application materials but before being registered. Fraudulent issuance case invested by the China Securities Regulatory Commission. CSRC. Since the implementation of the new securities law after the issuer submitted application materials but before being registered. First, the first fraud issuance case invested by CSRC. Since the implementation of the new securities law. Implementation of the new securities law. After the issuer submitted application materials but before being registered. After the news was released, it aroused great attention and heated discussion in the market. TLH believes that the case of the searching being punished has sent a very clear signal to the market that in the Chinese security, the CSRC has zero tolerance for fraudulent issuances. Unqualified companies should not try to muddle through. This is not only a punishment for searching but also a warning to all companies that are applying for or preparing to apply for listing. Businesses should avoid any form of fraud and should disclose information truthfully, accurately, and completely. Attention heated discussion in the market. TLH believes that the case of searching being punished has sent a very clear signal to the market. That is, the China Security Regulatory Commission has zero tolerance for fraudulent issuances. Unqualified companies should not try to muddle through. not punishment for searching, but also a warning to all companies that are applying for or preparing to apply for fair listing. Businesses should avoid any form of fraud and should disclose information truthfully, accurately, and completely. Fraud should disclose information truthfully, accurately, and completely. There are reports that the current severe penalties for companies that fail to go to public are mainly targeted at companies themselves, including investment banks or accounting firms and other intermediaries mediaries that provide packaging for them will also be subject to substantial and heavy penalties in addition to regulatory warning letters. At the same time, exchanges are currently reviewing 10 years of financial data of IPO companies, and some companies that have withdrawn their materials are also reviewing the scope. that are applying for that are applying for. There are reports that the current severe penalties. Businesses should avoid any form of fraud and should disclose information truthfully. This is not only a punishment for searching but also a warning to all companies that are applying for or preparing to apply for listing. Businesses should avoid any form of fraud and should disclose information truthfully, accurately, and completely. Bingo. There are reports that the current severe penalties for companies that fail to go public are mainly targeted at the companies themselves. The public are mainly targeted at the companies themselves. Next, investment banks, accounting firms, and other intermediaries that provide packaging for them will also be subject to substantial and heavy penalties in addition to regulatory warning letters. At the same time, exchanges are currently reviewing 10 years of financial data of IPO companies, and some companies that have 10 years of financial data, reviewing the financial data of IPO companies in the last 10 years. Some companies have withdrawn their materials are also reviewing the scope. in the reviewing scope. Regarding the exchange bank back-checking of 10 years of financial data of IPO companies, people close to the supervision said that they have not heard of it yet, but IPO supervision will be stricter in the future. And the supervision window has been moved to the IPO acceptance stage. Which regarding the exchanges back-checking of 10 years of financial data of IPO companies, people close to the supervision said that they have not heard of it yet, but IPO supervision will be stricter in the future, and the supervision window has been moved to the IPO acceptance stage. Moved to the IPO acceptance stage. At present, our department does not seem to have received such a reversal notice. Such a reversal notice, the IPO lawyer told China Business News. Reviewing notice. An executive from a securities firm and investment bank believes the general direction may be this, but the method and scope are not necessarily certain. The supervision is currently in this research stage and may not be implemented so soon. Executive from a securities firm believes the general direction may be this, but the method and scope are not necessarily certain. Methods and scope are not necessarily certain. Necessarily. The supervision is currently in the research stage. Research stage. And may not be implemented so soon. The supervision institution is currently researching and may not implement those measures so soon. Implement the scheme so soon. Searching was found had violations of laws and regulations due to on-site inspections. Searching's IP application was accepted on August 24th, 2021 and entered the inquiry phase on September the 22nd of the same year. On-site inspections. The China Securities Regulatory Commission conducted an on-site inspection on it in December 2021 and found that the company was suspected of inflating income and other illegal matters. In July 2022, Surgeon withdrew its application for issuance and a listing. The China Securities Regulatory Commission launched an investigation and trail into its suspected fraudulent issuance behavior. After an investigation, Searching fabricated significant false content in the announced securities issuance documents and committed financial fraud. Searching withdrew its application for issuance and listing. The China Securities Regulatory Commission launched an investigation trial into its suspected fraudulent issuance behavior. After investigation, Searching fabricated significant false content in the announced securities issuance documents and committed financial fraud. In the investigation, they found that Searching fabricated significant false content in the announced securities issuance documents and committed financial fraud. False content. Significantly false content in the announced securities issuance documents. Since 2014, the Chinese Security Regulatory Commission has continued to conduct on-site inspections of IPO companies to investigate and punish violations of information disclosure laws and regulations. On January the 29th, 2021, the China Securities Regulatory Commission officially issued the on-site inspection regulations for IPO enterprises, hereinafter referred to as inspection regulations, which included the legislation-based sector within the scope of on-site inspections. The determination of on-site inspection objects includes two methods: problem-oriented and random selection. Registration-based sector within the scope of the on-site inspections. The determination of on-site inspection objects include two methods: problem-oriented and random selection. The determination of on-site inspection objects include two methods. On-site inspections of IPO companies to investigate and punish violations of information disclosure laws and regulations. On January the 29th, 2021, the China Securities Regulatory Commission officially issued the on-site inspection regulations for IPO enterprises, which included the registration-based sector within the scope of on-site inspections. Registration-based sector. Included the registration-based sector. Of on-site inspection. The determination of on-site inspection objects include two methods. Method. problem-oriented, and random selecting. The determination of on-site inspection objects. Since then, regular on-site inspections have been used as an important means of supervision of the entire build chain, as well as a supplement to read and review inquiries. In November 2023, the Chinese Securities Regulatory Commission revised the inspection regulations to strengthen declarations and responsibilities. After, after the inspection target is determined, the withdrawal of the issuance application by the inspection target will not affect the implementation of the inspection work, nor will it affect the compliance of the China Securities Regulatory Commissions and the exchange with the law. Problems discovered during inspections shall be dealt with in accordance with regulations. Previously, based on on-site inspections and audits, supervision also issued regulatory warnings and disciplinary sanctions to those companies planning to IPO that had violated regulations. In addition to the existing measures, it is also necessary to further increase law enforcement and severely punish violations of laws and regulations, making offenders pay a heavy price. At the same time, it is also necessary to promote market marketization of supervision and encourage and protect investors who participate in violations of laws and regulations, supervisions, and crypto behaviors. In addition, it is also necessary to strengthen investor education and improve investors' risk awareness and self-protection capabilities, TLH said. Symposium. Previously based on site inspections and audits, supervision also issued regulatory warnings and disciplinary sanctions to some companies planning to IPO that had violated regulations. In what aspects will be strict after searching was administratively punished for fraudulent issuance from February the 18th to 19th. At the beginning of the new year, the China Securities Regulatory Commission held a series of symposiums to ask all parties in the market, among them representatives, and the meeting suggests strict control over IPO access. And the